Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Conversations from Stritch. My name is Dave Livingston, president of Lewis University, and I'm here with Dr. Christopher Sindt, who's our provost. It is a pleasure to be with you today. I wanted to start by saying congratulations to all of our students and faculty. You are one day away from completing your classes for the spring semester in a very upended way by everyone going online. It's an amazing accomplishment, and I just wanted to say, which I know Chris and I will say multiple times today, how grateful we are for all the extra work that has gone into this semester. Faculty have really done amazing work, and all the staff supporting the faculty, all the people who have answered questions to students about finances and rooms. We're just incredibly grateful for all the extra work that you've done. So thank you. And to our students and families, congratulations and thank you for being so adaptable and resilient. You just have to get through next week's finals, and then you can move on into summer. So I just wanted to mention that at the beginning. The second thing is I did want to start by restating what went out to all employees, which is that we did lay off 24 employees from the university on Monday. This was following up from really a year of work on the budget that we did. Everything from cutting back on operational budgets, having a 60-day wait on hiring new employees, at the end of the year, a functional hiring freeze. And all of that culminated in, we were doing all of that to try to avoid any layoffs. But as the COVID-19 began to really impact us as a university, we felt a need, came to a point where we just needed to terminate the employment of some really great employees and people who have worked with us for years, and who we are incredibly grateful for all the work that they did over the years for our students and for their colleagues. So it's with a deep sense of loss that we announced that on Monday. And we want to, have our prayers go out as a community to all those impacted by this. We know that the economy as a whole has been impacted, and unfortunately Lewis is not exempt from the impact of COVID-19, as well as from some declines in enrollment that has been occurring over a number of years, especially in the Midwest and the Northeast. As we position ourselves, and that's really what this was about, positioning the Lewis University community for a strong future, I do want to acknowledge this week as well so many things that have come across my desk in terms of all the ways in which the university continues to function in such an exciting way. We had the President's Art Show that happened last week, and winners from that. We also had the Jet Fuel Review magazine that was published this week. It's really incredible, so all of you should go online and take a look at it. It's really quite amazing. Over the last few weeks, we've heard from the NCAA and from specific conferences about awards that our student athletes have won, All-American awards for both coaches and athletes. But we also had one of the highest numbers in our history of the school in terms of the percentage of student athletes who received the highest award from the NCAA for their academic accomplishments. We still have the Senior Art Show ahead of us, and of course, we will, be celebrating virtually with our graduates in a couple weeks, though we won't be able to do an in-person commencement. We really want to congratulate our seniors for all that they've accomplished, and for our graduate students who will be earning their master's degree or doctoral degrees. We wish we could be with you in person, but we just want to congratulate you. Lewis University is continuing to move forward. As challenging of a time as this is, we have much to be grateful for. And as many difficult decisions that we make, we also have to combine that with celebrating the accomplishments of our community. What I did want to do at the beginning here, before I turn it over to Dr. Sindt, is talk a little bit about some of the financial things, some of the questions that came in since last week. So we've had some questions, again, about room and board refunds. And so I want to be clear on that. We said some of this last week, but I just want to make sure that everybody's aware that we have applied all of the amount that was due back to students to their accounts. So that has all taken place. So if you're a student or a family out there, you can go to your account on the My Lewis website and you can see the applied amount of your refund, whether it was for room and board or for a parking fee. What is currently taking place, and for most of you that had a direct deposit, that direct deposit has been deposited in your account. If you don't have direct deposit with us and a check, those checks are being cut this week, and so you should get them in the next few days. But all of you should be able to look on your account and see the amount that has been applied to your account toward that refund. The second question that has come in from a number of students is around the CARES Act funding for students, specifically for students. So we're still working through this. The funds will be being distributed during the month of May. There's a formula that will address which students will receive funds and how much they'll receive. And it'll depend on kind of where you sit in the institution and in a way, how we believe in categories people were impacted by the change in the semester. The last thing I want to say, and I'll certainly answer questions as we go along if we receive them in, is about the turn that we're taking as a university also to really focus our fundraising attention on raising funds for a COVID-19 emergency fund for students. So not every student will receive money from the federal government CARES Act. And some students will receive money that is not enough to help them to return to school in the fall. Our primary goal right now, and Chris will talk more about how we plan to return in the fall, but I just want to say that we want all of our students that have a dream of achieving a Lewis education and completing their degree at Lewis to be able to do that. And we know that many families have been impacted by COVID-19, by the loss of jobs, or sometimes the loss of a partial income. And we want you to know that we are raising funds. To date, we've raised over $200,000, but we have a much higher goal in terms of raising money to be able to grant scholarships for families who have additional need on top of their traditional financial aid package. And we believe through raising funds for that, that we will be able to meet many families. We probably will not be able to raise enough money to meet all the need of all of our families, but we are going to try our hardest to allow all the families to return in the fall, the students, our grad students, our part-time students that are working full-time and going to school. We want everybody to be able to come back to Lewis either this summer or in the fall, and we're going to try to grant additional aid to families. And we will continue to raise money. That's a big part of what I will be out doing with our donors and our trustees, businesses in the community, to ask them to help out Lewis families so that all of our students can achieve their dream of a Lewis degree. So with that, and again, we will probably bounce back and forth with questions that come in, but I wanted to turn it over to Dr. Sindt to talk a little bit about, we've had a lot of questions about both summer and what summer looks like, but especially about the fall and what fall might look like for students as well as for faculty and staff. And so, Dr. Sindt, if you could maybe talk a little bit about general and then answer some of the questions that we've received before today started.
Sure, thank you. And hello, everyone. It's great to be here with you. I will address the, I want to start by talking about the questions related to the fall semester. And also, I might make a few comments about some recognition and for some of the great work that's been going on here on campus, and sharing some details about that. And then we'll move on to the some more specific questions. So regarding fall, we plan to resume campus activity in the fall while maintaining sufficient health practices or public health practices. Our campus emergency preparedness team is working diligently and has created working groups in areas like the academic schedule, community programming, research, residential life, student life, athletics, and other areas like that. In that group, we have really great professionals and faculty experts working through all of the nuances and details of projecting and modeling what it will be like here in the fall. And I think we will be able to deliver a very specific plan, especially about the academic programming, by May 15th. And I will make an announcement about that, or we will make an announcement about that on May 15th or sooner. But I can say a few things today, I think, as it's shaping up, to clarify a few of the questions. Our regular, we will enter into the fall using our regular 16-week semester and our 8-week terms as planned. Most courses that are typically taught in person will have in-person meetings, and will also likely have the ability for online instruction. So may play out in a hybrid nature, but they will have an in-person on-campus component to them. And most important, the faculty groups and the group of academic administrators who are working on this are building a plan that has as much flexibility as possible, allowing us to make adjustments to ensure the health and safety of our students and our faculty, and in our Lassallean spirit, to recognize that different members of our community may have unique circumstances that we will accommodate. So that's what I have to share about the fall today. And if there are specific follow-up questions about that, I'm sure they will come through. We don't have a lot more to say about the summer today than we did last week. We continue to follow the ins and outs of the predictions around the stay-at-home order, and we, of course, are going to abide by the stay-at-home order through the end of May. And then if things open up, we are very open to modeling very limited experiential learning experiences on campus, including flight and perhaps limited work in labs. And I know that we have faculty, especially in the sciences, who are researching and studying work available out there about safety in lab environments, for example. So more on that as we get closer to June and have clarity on what the stay-at-home order will extend into as we go into the summer. And I just wanted to change the subject a little bit now and mention a few of, to maybe just say a few more thank yous. We thanked, or I thanked last week, the essential workers who are here on campus, and as well as the CEPT. And as we reflect and get more information about how the semester is going, I just wanted to call out a few other facets of our amazing faculty and staff here on campus. But before I do that, I'll say that just to repeat what the president said, this is the hardest work that's going on right now is happening in the classes as the semester comes to an end and we move into finals. And so I'm just always in awe of our professors who have made this transition and worked through many difficulties to be able to deliver our classes online. And then to the students for persisting through the summer, through the semester. The president mentioned the word resilience. It reminded me that when I speak with students at orientation at the SOAR sessions, I often say that there will likely be one or two really significant, challenging events in your lives. It might be personal or professional, or it might be have to do with work. It might have to do with particularly hard academic challenges, and the people who persist through college and graduate are the ones who make it through those really rough patches. And when I've made those speeches in the SOAR sessions, I had never anticipated the level of difficulty that our students were going to go through this semester. And so as we enter into the end of the semester, I just want to congratulate our students for that incredible resilience and persistence that you've shown to make it through the end of the semester, and especially to our graduates who have made it through to the end of their university careers or to their degrees. Congratulations, and I'm so impressed with you. I want to speak, there are many, many offices on campus who have been doing extraordinary work to support especially our students, but really just support the continuance of our work. So I just wanted to share some statistics around some of our offices and some of the work that we did. I mentioned a couple of, in our first Stritch conversation, that we have the big shift of moving to online, and now I have a little bit more specificity around that. We moved 1,986 classes online in an 11-day period. So that, again, back to the faculty, incredible accomplishment that I don't think any of us would ever have thought was possible before we did it this semester. In a 2-week period in March, we shifted 370 staff members and 261 full and half-time faculty to a virtual work environment. This is a testament to all of our Lewis staff, but I especially want to recognize the staff in the Office of Technology for all the amazing work that they did to support those transitions. Like I said, every office on campus has done extraordinary work. Our faculty center has provided 36 webinars, expanded our online toolkit for faculty, and created Keep Teaching Blackboard Shell, while also constantly serving individual faculty questions around the transition into the Blackboard or into the online environment. Our staff in CASE have provided online learning and Blackboard support to students, remote tutoring, academic coaching and advising, and our Writing Center and library have continued the incredible support they always provide. The Writing Center, for example, has provided 610 hours of online tutoring for students, and I know their schedule is full through the end of next week. And then finally, an appreciation for our counseling services staff who were trained in telemental health and during the beginning of the crisis, and also have subsequently provided 460 appointments since we went to remote services. So just extraordinary work has been done all across campus, and those are just some specific examples. There are many other offices who are doing comparable work and similar dedication to supporting our students through the end of this academic year. The last thing I'll say is that we haven't said it yet. Our website around COVID-19 continues to be built up, and our marketing and communications team has been done super work, not only around building the website, but in our social media and elsewhere. And I see that they're showing it to you right now, which is cool. So please refer to that website if you have specific questions. The answers are there. There are over 20 pages now of content on that COVID-19 website. So please go to that if we can't answer your questions today.
Yes. So, Chris, I just want to restate. I mean, for me, hearing it from you, even though you and I have been talking about this for a month or more, as the questions have come up, and we've been talking about what would the fall look like. But I just want to, I guess, express my excitement. I mean, it's very exciting for me to hear from the leader of our academic life and our students' services life, the kind of co-curricular life of our students, that students, we are planning and expecting to have an in-person component to our classes. That is the issue, I think, in this country. And I think we need to, it's part of the reason we wanted to say it today, that our plan, and we'll have more details. I mean, that's, I think, really important to say. So we don't want to, and there are caveats to this, right? The governor could say that we couldn't leave our homes. But I think for our students and our families and our faculty and staff, that we can sit here today and say that we are planning a fall semester, which will be different, right? You mentioned this. It'll have a different feel to it, a different tone to it. We're going to do all the things we need to do to make sure that people remain healthy and safe, but that they will be able to interact with their friends, they'll be able to interact with their faculty, and that there will be an environment on this campus, this physical 400 acres, that is what I think people are longing for. And so there's an excitement for me around that because you know, we're a complex organization. We deliver online classes. We've been doing that for more than a decade. So, but we have this in-person communal thing that is part of the Lasallian world, part of the Lewis world. And I hear in the comments that have been sent in, questions that have been sent in, faculty and staff that I've talked to, that, you know, that sense that we're all feeling in our own homes of wanting, and, you know, I think we can't say we're going to get back to normal. That's not the right language. The way you stated at the beginning is, you know, we are planning for in-person classes in the fall. And I just, you know, I hope that is good news for everybody that is watching us. We will, as Dr. Sindt said, we will have a lot more details about that. We'll try to get as much of the framework of it done. And I just want to say again how grateful I am to all the faculty and staff who are thinking through the hundreds and hundreds of questions that I know you have as a community about what will this actually look like. So we're going to plan to provide a framework by May 15th of what this will look like. But I just think there's a, you know, there's an optimism in that. And I know Dr. Sindt has been working with both teams of people from our employees and specifically faculty on thinking through in a really deep way how we balance out these two things of public health and the health and safety of our community, and the desire for in-person classes enhanced by online learning that we've learned to do better in the last month and a half. So, you know, I guess I want to go along with you and be incredibly grateful to our faculty for your leadership. I want to thank you for your leadership in all this. You know, we're just lucky as a community. And going back to, we're also lucky to have, you know, donors and trustees and other people who are willing to help families to return to class, you know, on this campus in the fall. So, you know, I feel, you know, excited about it. Yeah, go ahead.
If I could just say,
yeah, please.
I mean, just a really specific thing. I know there are several questions, I'm sure, that came through, and I know on people's minds about how we're going to do this and that and so on. Are we going to have face coverings, and how are we going to do social distancing? And, you know, I just want to say we don't, you know, it's just way too soon to be talking about that or to be answering those questions specifically, because we won't know what our guidance is until we get closer to the fall. But I can assure you that we are in those internal groups and in our constant dialogue around modeling. We are asking those questions and modeling answers to those questions.
Yes.
And working through the nuances.
And I think the other thing that I guess I want to, you know, own as a community is that, you know, the difficult decisions we had to make and announced on Monday, many of the newspaper articles that many of you are reading and will hear on the evening news about the challenges that will be faced by colleges and universities across the country. You know, I've watched several, you know, kind of Sunday morning or evening, you know, news shows where they've interviewed a president from Brown University or from Purdue, or so people are reading these articles, and it's anxiety producing for everybody in our community. And I think we should own that. You know, this is a really challenging time. I am surrounded by an amazing group of people. We have 600 employees here, and they are talented in an extraordinary way. And they're thoughtful, they're deep thinkers, they look at the questions from many angles. And we are confident that we can come up with solutions that will allow us to continue to deliver an excellent education, and that that will be in a personal way for our students, in the way that they want to interact both as a community and with their professors. So we're moving forward in that, but I don't want to, I don't want you to lose either part of the tension. The tension is, we want people to be healthy and safe, and we want this to be a great experience for our students, and we want people to, feel that they are getting that educational experience that they want. Certain areas are going to be much more difficult, and Dr. Sindt has mentioned those. Things that are in the clinical environments that we have less control over. So going and doing student teaching, going into a hospital setting, those are things that we have to work with our partner agencies. But I can say our partner agencies, places like HLC, have been very supportive of us and our ability to modify the curriculum and meet families and students and the educational goals, all while balancing out public health and safety. So it's complicated, but I think we have the right group of people that are working on this, and I'm grateful for all of them. So a couple of questions that came in, earlier, some of which you've addressed, but this has been addressed a couple times. But if you could just maybe talk a little bit about commencement, what we know about commencement and what we still don't know about commencement, because obviously that's right on the front of the mind of so many families as they're talking to a grandparent or an aunt who was going to come in for commencement 2 weeks from now. Could you, even though again we've been through this before, and it's on the website as again the coronavirus part of our website, but maybe you could just talk through for all of our families what's going to be happening over the next 6 months related to commencement.
Yes. So we knew that when we rescheduled commencement, the commencement that was scheduled for May, we initially thought about doing it in August or in December, and eventually, after lots of discussion, similar to what we were describing before, settled on tentatively scheduling commencement for the week of the December weekend. And then I would say this is really, I guess, a comment for students who are planning to graduate in December and go through commencement in December in the first place, but also for those who were initially planning to do it in May, that is a big question mark. I'm not saying we can't do it, but doing a large public, like I said last week, a large public events are going to be the last thing that we are allowed to do, in our communities, and that is a large public event. So we're very hopeful that we'll be able to do it in December. We're planning to do it in December, and then it's not something we can promise certainly today.
Great. So we have had a couple questions, Chris, and I was also reviewing the questions that were coming in and trying to listen to you, so I might have missed this, but did you talk about moving out of residence halls?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so we had a couple questions that came in before today about kind of students and families that are trying to figure out how do they get their stuff back out of their rooms, if they have it in there, and what the process and procedures are around that. So maybe you could speak to that.
Right. So I did notice that those questions were coming in, and I think I know that there's some information about this on the Residence Life website, and I think we're getting it up on the COVID-19 website today. All residential students should have received an email about this. The move-out dates for spring semester are between May 11th and May 17th, and we're asking students to go to the website and fill out a reservation form so that the move-outs can be spaced out in conjunction with the stay-at-home order, and to let us know by May 6th if how or to fill out that form by May 6th. If for some reason that is difficult to come to Romeoville during that time frame, just contact Residence Life, and I think other arrangements can be made.
Great. So one of the other things that has come up in light of a couple different areas, and I'll talk a little bit about it. You might want to also comment on it. There was a question by a student this week that came in about student clubs and organizations and their budgets and whether they'll be able to roll over their budget. And I'd like to say something about it in general, and then you might want to comment on it. So, I do want to say, and again, you'll be reading this in lots of articles. We just don't know what our budget's going to be like in the fall. We don't. We're hoping and expecting that all of our students, both new students and returning students, will return and complete their Lewis education. But that is an unknown, and all the things that we've talked about today, we will continue to plan for that. But we're also planning scenarios around what would happen if different things happen and certain types of students, felt that they couldn't come back or in a certain format. But I do want to say in general around budgets, and it's interesting that students were the one that asked this. There were some other questions about other budgetary things from faculty and staff. We do not roll over budgets. So, a student club or organization will not be able to take the money they didn't spend this spring and spend it next fall. But I'd also ask, for people to have a sensitivity to the stewardship of our resources, in the sense that with all budgets, we want to be really aware of what is needed so that we have the resources next fall and next spring to use those resources to serve students in the way that we've become accustomed to, that we want them to have an excellent educational experience. So there are some ways in which we want everybody related to budgetary decision making to act frugally in this time when we don't know what the future looks like. And I think many families, I think that's a conversation happening around a lot of kitchen tables around, we just don't know what's going to happen with our job, if we're working at a restaurant or in the aviation industry. And so maybe we will cut back a little bit on how much we're spending. And that's really a part of what we laid out to people on Monday, is that we want to be delivering an excellent education and be really aware of what we're spending, and that it's really for the right things, for the student experiences, for our employees, and for our future. So, I maybe got in front of that, but in terms of student clubs and organizations, student activities in the fall, you mentioned some of this, and I know there's lots of work to be done. But maybe you could talk a little bit about, student life. What is student life going to be like in the fall, and whether it's an athlete or somebody that belongs. I didn't mention that esports also won a tournament last weekend.
Yes.
So we have, again, we have all sorts of great things going on campus. People are continuing to do some of their club activity, club sports, athletics, student clubs and organizations, fraternities and sororities. The normal student life of a campus. Maybe you could just, and I know you don't have all the answers now, but in kind of tone and direction, how you feel about that.
Right, we're certainly learning. I mean, just those examples some of those examples that you gave of activities that are happening on campus right now are related to club activity, which is a sign that we are learning how to engage in student life activities virtually, and getting more and more, getting better and better at it as the weeks go by. And we've learned a lot this semester that we'll be able to apply in the fall around creating a really rich student life experience, both as we said, probably in person as well as with some more virtual elements to it that could be beneficial to our commuter students and graduate students, as well as to our residential students over a longer period of time. So we have no plans to making radical changes to the student orgs or anything like that. The budgets will, as the president said, the operational budgets, end at the end of every year and they begin at the beginning of every year, so they will be similar to last year, slightly different, I'm sure, in one way or another. One kind of technical thing I wanted to add to that I'm certainly not an expert about, so I'm sure one of our senators will email me if I get this wrong, but I believe our Student Senate manages the budgets of the student orgs to some degree, and that there's a process for student organizations to request additional funds or supplemental funds and things like that. So I think that process is still going on, and it's probably going on now for next year. So that might be contacting Student Activities or Danielle Burke might be a resource, or your student senator.
Yeah, so now we have a few questions coming, so I'll just try to read these off and address them as we go. So, question about commencement, an additional question. You addressed a lot of these things, but this one I actually don't know the answer to, but maybe you do, and if not, we'll get back to them. So if they end up not walking in commencement, will they still receive their honor cords?
I believe so,
and
but
how will those be mailed to them? I mean, do you have a sense? Because usually we do those at ceremonies. You know, like we do a pre-ceremony where College of Education and Social Sciences will have a night. They give them their cords, and then they wear them the next week. So we don't have to have an answer today, but we can. These are great questions.
I'm going to pick up my phone, and maybe someone will text me the answer to that question.
So we'd love to. We'll try to get back to you before the end of the program today about the honor cords question. So thank you for that. Another question that is a technical question that I don't know the answer to either, but maybe you do. So return of rental textbooks. Do you need to come to campus, or can they mail them to Follett's?
I believe they can mail them, but I'm not sure, so I don't want to make any promises.
Okay, so we'll get back to you on that one too. These are
the bookstore is operational. You know, they're open during the day. You know, open for online during the day, and they definitely will respond to questions. But if somebody knows the answer to that, they can text me. And
then they also, on a follow-up to that, again, we'll try to get this onto the COVID-19 part of our website, but is the return date for rental books the same, currently May 18th? I assume it is, but I just don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, it seems likely that it would be, but we'll find out for sure.
Yes, we'll get back to you on that. Just a couple other things that we have not addressed. We've addressed most of the questions that came in, but one of the things that came in as a question, and I know you may not have the answer for this, but I think just noting that we received it for people. So pass-fail options for summer school came in as a question. My sense is you're going to look into that, but I just wanted to acknowledge the question because it was asked.
Yeah, we don't have an answer to that question today, but that can be answered within a week. I will be able to answer that question by my message next Thursday.
Great.
And I did get a text that bookstore information is on the COVID website. So I think there's a bookstore page there.
So yeah, and we will, as we get these questions that come in, we will try to update the COVID site. What is great about it, and I appreciate this group, the Ask Us email address is up there. Last week it started getting additional questions on Friday. So and then continue to come in all throughout the week, and we will try to get responses up to those as soon as possible on the website under the COVID-19, and then again address these next week when we're here again trying to respond to questions. Chris, any kind of parting comments? I have a few things I may want to say, but any thoughts you have for those that are still with us online?
No, just to repeat what I said before, it's the end of a very, very unusual and hard semester, and I'm just so grateful to our students and faculty and staff for getting to this point.
Yeah, and I want to second that. I really appreciated the way Dr. Sindt talked about both the resiliency question and the issues around the amazing work that faculty and staff and students have done. You know, you have one more day of classes tomorrow. You got a week of finals next week. We know it's been incredibly difficult, and we're also really proud of all of you for what you've accomplished. I really believe that if somebody had proposed that not only Lewis University but all of higher ed could go fully online from day 1 to day 14, which is basically how this happened across almost the entire nation, that people would have said it just wouldn't be possible. And faculty and staff and students at Lewis University have proved that it is possible, that we can deliver nearly 2,000 courses in an online format and turn the switch in about a week. And I am just incredibly grateful for all the work you've done, proud of all you've accomplished. I want to wish you well in your finals, so study hard and do well, and continue to send us in questions. We are praying for all of you, the entire Lewis community. We hope that you stay safe and healthy, and we ask you to pray for each other. These are difficult times for many of us, and as a community, we believe in the power of God's grace to support us, to heal us, and to offer us wisdom. And so we hope that you have a really great week, that finals go very well, and that you're able to, at the end of next week, relax a little bit and read a book you've been wanting to read, or binge a show that you've been wanting to binge, but you just haven't had time. So enjoy your week, and we will see you next week. Bye-bye.